As for right this very second, here's Stephen A. Smith joining us on SportsCenter. Kevin Durant scored against 5 different Houston defenders tonight. Legs was talking about it. Durant would seem to be the key, and the Rockets simply had no answer for him tonight.
Well, listen, he was absolutely explosive over the first 3 quarters. He's 6'11" with a 7'6" wingspan. When you look at his mid-range game, his ability to shoot the J, you talk about in terms of scorers, you talk about Michael Jordan, you talk about Kobe, you talk about people like Kevin Durant. He's just that kind of a big-time offensive player. What I was most impressed about is the fact that he recognized tonight wasn't going to necessarily be Steph Curry's night. Steph Curry was relatively pedestrian, had about 18 points, but he did have help. Kevin Durant had help in the form of Klay Thompson, who dropped 28, who hit 6 3-pointers, who scored like 8 points in a 13-4 run in the fourth quarter to sort of pull it away. They went up about 100-87 at that particular juncture. They spread the basketball. They trust one another. They have faith in one another. They're unselfish. This is who they are. And when you juxtapose that to what you saw from Houston, certainly James Harden was explosive, reminding the world that indeed he is here, and there's a reason we're expecting him to be league MVP. He showed up, but it still didn't negate the fact that Houston was relatively predictable. James Harden one-on-one, Chris Paul one-on-one. Anytime they drove to the basket, if they drove from the right side, they looked for a pass in the left corner that was ultimately going to get intercepted. You're driving from your left, you're looking at a pass in the right corner, which ultimately is going to get intercepted, leading to a turnover. They're relatively predictable when you don't allow them to dance on an opponent in a one-on-one isolation situation. And Golden State are champions, so they're prepared for this kind of play. They knew what Houston was going to throw at them, and they were ready for it.
James Harden clearly has more help from his supporting cast. Hold that thought, Stephen A. Steve Kerr, live here on SportsCenter. We'll get right back to Stephen A. Here's Coach Kerr.
Start the lineup that you did, which is your best 5. You pushed the minutes.
The Hamptons 5?
That's what I understand in their name, yes. You can say it now. I mean, how badly did you feel you had to win this game? How many chips did you push in to win this game?
Well, we felt it was important to get off to a good start, and that's why we made the decision to start Andre. We had good momentum from the last series, and the matchups are good. You know, we got to switch, and everybody's got to be able to guard on the perimeter, and Andre's one of our best defenders, obviously. So we just decided to start that way to try to get off to a good start, and we actually didn't. We got off to a slow start, but we hung in there, and you know, it's a long game, 48 minutes. So I was proud of the way our guys kind of hung in there after that first blow that we took and got right back in the game.
Steve, Hunter Houston Chronicle. Draymond gets the technical early on. He ends up having 2 points in that first half, but then in the second half, well, he finishes the game with the highest plus-minus. Was there anything in terms of that you might have said to him, that anybody said to him, that made him adjust in any way? How is it that in the second half he had that kind of performance?
You know, Draymond is one of the most competitive people on the planet, and you know, I thought early in the game he was so fired up that it just got away from him a little bit. And once he settled in, I thought he was tremendous. His defense was amazing, and you know, he controlled the game. I thought in many ways he's just an amazing player. It's hard to describe what he does, but he's perfect modern day NBA player. He guards everybody and rebounds and passes and makes plays, and obviously brings the energy and the competitiveness that can drive a team. So I thought Draymond was awesome.
Steve, Marcus Thompson with The Athletic. KD looked just like you out there, didn't he?
Like me?
Yeah, like when you're playing, they used to hit all those shots.
Yeah, we're
right?
very similar players, yeah.
When he's in a groove like that, are you just saying, hey, let's feed him the ball, or is it just a field thing still, motion offense?
Yeah, I mean, you know how we play. We want to keep the ball moving, but obviously, you know, Kevin is the ultimate luxury because a play can break down, and you just throw him the ball, and he can get you a bucket as well as anybody on earth. So, Kevin, you know, this is why this is why anybody would want him on their team. But you think about a couple of years ago, and we're in the finals, and we couldn't quite get over the hump. You know, Kevin's the guy who puts you over the hump, and I don't know what you do to guard him. He can get any shot he wants.
Steve, Mark Medina, Bay Area News Group. What do you think was the key for the guys to be able to withstand all the elements with just Houston being who they are, the start they got, and obviously being on the road?
I think just, our guys have been here before. This is our fourth straight conference finals and first one that we've started on the road. But, our guys have a lot of experience and they've felt this. They relish it. And I think they took the challenge tonight and played awfully well.
Steve, Brian Smith.
Again, complete press conferences right now over on ESPN2, but you don't get Tim Legler and you don't get Stephen A. Smith. Steve Kerr improves to 14-1, by the way, in game ones in the playoffs. That's best in the NBA history with a minimum of 5 games. So we've heard from both coaches. We'll hear from all the players. I can't wait to hear from Draymond. I'm sure James Harden will have something interesting to say. What does it say for the wealth of talent, Stephen A., for the Warriors that Steph Curry can be somewhat pedestrian offensively and they can still go into Houston and win this game 1?
Well, I think just using the word talent, I don't think it gives them enough just due. Here's what the bottom line is, and Tim Legler, better than most, can speak to this. When you are a sniper, that's an exceptional skill to have. Just imagine, for example, if you look at all the athletes, the high flyers in the game day, or let's say, for example, there was a bunch of Russell Westbrooks on a squad, or Derrick Rose when he was a Rookie of the Year, and people like that. Yes, they're extraordinary and great, and we marvel at their athletic ability. But there's something that's missing when you're devoid of that long-range sniper ability, because ultimately somebody can get physical with you. You've got to rely on the refs to give you calls from time to time. That level of athleticism, that energy, you got to hope that's not matched. You got to hope that it's your night far more often than not, because again, athleticism doesn't necessarily mean you know how to play. But Golden State's basketball IQ, their willingness to trust one another, and the fact that they have 3 individuals that are literally some of the greatest shooters this game has ever seen. Klay Thompson is one of the all-time great shooters in NBA history. We don't talk enough about this guy, but he truly is. Kevin Durant, need I say any more? He might be the lone individual capable of capturing Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's all-time scoring record, and Steph Curry is unquestionably the greatest shooter we have ever seen in the history of basketball, because whether he's spotting up, he's on the move, the right side, the left side, the top of the key, mid-range, long range, it doesn't matter. He is literally a threat to shoot the basketball from 40 feet and in. We have not seen that in NBA history. They're all on the same team. So it's not enough just to say they're talented. They are special. That's why they're champions.
The Rockets angle is interesting, and how do they stay in this series based on everything you just said? We spoke earlier in the playoffs about LeBron James. And again, I'm not comparing supporting casts because Harden has a lot more talent to work with than LeBron does. But earlier on in the playoffs for the Cavs, it was LeBron, he's not getting any help. Do the Rockets need to give Harden more help? He scored 41 today, and it's still not good enough to win at home.
Well, first of all, he needs help. Of course he needs help. But first of all, he needs help from his coach. Mike D'Antoni, to me, is my coach of the year. He's extraordinary offensively, but defensively, there's been a lot left to be desired in years past. Not so much this year. But Tim Legler was absolutely right in terms of when KD has the ball, there are things that you can do. You don't necessarily have to switch the way that Mike D'Antoni elected to do and seems to be a prisoner to doing. That's number one. Number two, of course, James Harden has to continue to be that guy. But Chris Paul, it was 23 and 11 rebounds. He led them in rebounds, just 4 assists. You might need more from Chris Paul because he's going against a high-powered offense in the Golden State Warriors. And James Harden's going to need all the help that he can get. Gordon needs to be more effective. Trevor Ariza needs not get caught up emotionally into the game, getting physical, getting in people's faces. He needs to make sure he stays out of foul trouble. If Trevor Ariza hadn't picked up a 5th foul early in the second half, who knows how this game would have panned out. So Trevor Ariza and Eric Gordon staying on the court and being effective. Clint Capella being more actively involved in terms of them throwing him more alley-oops. And, of course, Chris Paul being more offensive-minded than he was tonight are all things that the Houston Rockets would need in order to win this series. But here's the sad part. Having said everything that I just said with that soliloquy, that still might not be enough to beat the reigning defending world champions.
I got to go back and highlight one thing you said. I just checked the box score. CP3 led them in rebounds with 11 rebounds tonight.
Yes.
Exactly as you said, the next closest guy had 6, and that was Capella. That's simply amazing. That's one of the reasons they probably didn't win tonight. They need some more help from their big men.
Well, Golden State didn't give you too much to rebound from. They shot better than 50%. They shot better than 52% from the field. So obviously they weren't missing an array of shots. But still in all, when Chris Paul is your leading rebounder, that's kind of problematic.
That definitely jumps out of the box score. Stephen A. Smith with his thoughts on Game 1 of the Western Conference Final. Again, Game 2 will be Wednesday night back in H-Town. We're headed back to the Toyota Center. Ramona Shelburne, moments ago, talked it over with Steph Curry.
Steph, how important was it for you to get this first game here on the road?
Important because it was the only game in front of us, and so come out and play the way we did, withstand some of their runs in this building. It was a really good performance, obviously. I know we expected to do that, and we got to come back to Game 2 with the same type of energy, defensive effort, focus on offense, making simple plays, and we should be in good shape.
They came into this game averaging 9.5 turnovers. You forced 16 tonight. What did you guys do defensively to force all those turnovers?
Just talking and communicating. Everybody's on the string. We know what their main game plan is to try to put me in every single action on defense, and we like that because over the course of 48 minutes, I'm going to get a couple stops and we're going to do what we need to do.
Kevin Durant obviously had 37 points. Is there anyone on this team that can stop him?
Say that my pops is in the stands and he was talking to me. I'm sorry.
Is there anybody on the Rockets that can stop Kevin Durant when he's rolling like he was tonight?
I mean, there might not be anybody in the league. He's an unbelievable scorer. He likes the big moments, and so for us to feed the beast and him to carry us the way he did was huge. And the good part about what we bring as a team is we know how to feed the hot hand. Over the course of the whole series, though, everybody's going to have a huge impact in us getting 4 or 3 more wins now.
Thank you, Ramona. Steph gets 18, and that's enough for the Warriors to win. You'd expect him to score 30 and get them to win again. The Rockets with home court, top seed in the Western Conference. One of the other things jumped out, Legs, some easy baskets for Golden State, third quarter, fourth quarter when they pulled away. Houston has to work for everything they get.
And the reason is because of the way they're set up offensively. So the margin for error is so small with Houston because they had one stretch of turnovers in this game. They only had 13. That's a low number for a game like this. But that stretch is where the game got away from them because Golden State converts those into open three-point opportunities or guys running to the rim because you're fanning out to guard the three-point line. And now Livingston or Green or Iguodala gets a dunk because you're trying to guard those guys at the three-point line. That's all off the turnovers and long rebounds. On the other end, if Golden State turns it over or shoots a bad shot, they need James Harden to run their offense. James Harden's not pushing the ball up the floor.
Right.
That's not the way he plays.
Right.
He wants to get the ball over half court and then operate with that high ball screen or the one-on-one stuff. Chris Paul the same. There's no surge up the floor to get something easy if you do get them to turn the ball over or take a quick shot or a bad shot. On the other end, though, if they do it, Golden State's getting something easy. It's a 15-point differential in fast break points in a 13-point game. I mean, that's a big deal, and it's because Golden State, their mentality is push, 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 and it could end up in the hands of 5 different guys capable of pushing the ball up the floor. Even a guy like Iguodala, he can be a point guard. Draymond Green pushed it as well as any power forward or center in the history of this league, and we know what the other 3 guys are capable of. So for me, that's a big difference in this series. Because the Houston's not going to all of a sudden start, putting on the Jets to get up the floor.
Right.
They need James Harden to get over half court and then operate in that set. So they won't take advantage of the mistakes the way that Golden State will. And I thought they did a great job of that when this game got away from Houston beginning in the fourth quarter.
And the Rockets seem to have to use much more energy along those lines to get those points, to stay in the game. And as the series goes longer, and they hope it does, that could have a wear-out factor.
It's got to wear on James Harden. He did look gassed in the fourth quarter a little bit for me.
It's game 1, bro, right? And he looks gassed already. And they can't have Matt in the lineup. They need him on the floor. That was evident. Legs, thanks very much. Still to come. We'll go back to Houston. Hear from Michael Wilbon. We'll get complete highlights. More reaction. Waiting on you, Kevin Durant and James Harden, here on SportsCenter.